Well, Nick Collier here again, and it's story time. It's early October. It's rained 3 or 4 times. California is sighing a breath of relief because hopefully the fire season's over, although they're going to turn our power off here in the next couple of days because there's supposed to be a big wind come through. We're standing in front of my pear tree that just put out hundreds and hundreds of pears this year for the first time, and they were very good. But you know, pears, they don't last that long, so you can, you know, you've got a glut of pears for a week or so, and then they're all gone. So this story goes way back. I'm probably 7, 8 years old, maybe 9 at the tops. And my buddy and I, Ken Freeman, we're like thick as thieves. We're scrambling around trying to come up with some money, and I can't remember why. So, we go around and collect bottles, because back then bottles had a deposit that you could actually take it to the store and cash it in for a nickel, I think, a couple of pennies, something like that. So, we did a bit of that. We'd, roam around the neighborhood and knock on doors and say, hey, you got any extra bottles? And the people would feel sorry for us, and they'd give us a bottle or two. Because, of course, there were other kids doing the same thing. It was a whole thing going on at that point. But we lived next to a golf course. And in fact, my housing tract was called Fairway Park. And literally 1 or 2 streets over, and here's this giant golf course. And us kids would go out at night, and midsummer when it was hot and stuff, and we'd go out at night and just roam around the golf course and have a good time. But, now we're serious. We want to make some money. And we want to make some real bank. Enough of this nickel stuff. We wanted quarters. Now, of course, in those days, a quarter would buy you a loaf of bread. 20 cents would buy you a gallon of gas. So we're racking our brains trying to come up with some way to make some money. And there was, 4 or 5 different tries where we'd make, we'd work all day mowing lawns or something like that. Mowing lawns was tough because back in those days they didn't have power mowers. Well, a couple of people had power mowers. Everybody had a push mower, right? So as a kid, you'd knock on a door and say, hey, can I mow your lawn? And they, oh yeah, sure, I'll give you $1. And you go out there and you use their lawnmower, and it was like a manual push mower, and it'd be dull as hell, and you couldn't mow the lawn in any way, shape, or form. And you fight all day to get the lawn mowed and get $1 for it. And it was like, well, it was $1 better than nothing. So we mowed lawns for a while, but we were 7, 8 years old. That got pretty boring. So at one point, and I'm not sure how, we've, as I said, we rambled in that golf course a lot, running from the security guard, because he'd be riding around on his little golf cart trying to find us. Because, of course, we'd make a lot of noise and he could hear us. So, we'd, scramble around, hide behind trees while he drove by. It was a lot of fun. And so at one point, I realized that there were golfers in the golf course. And they were knocking around these little white balls. And, and during the day, when the golfers were there, you couldn't go into the golf course. Well, you couldn't go in at any time, but you know, you definitely couldn't go in there because golf balls would be flying through the air and it'd be kind of dangerous. So we'd stand outside the fence, and there was this little drainage ditch that ran alongside the golf course that, you know, took all of the chemicals and garbage that came out of the golf course and came out of Fairway Park. And, you know, it was this little drainage. There was nothing alive in there, but although, you know, we'd find a frog or two from time to time. Some little pathetic frog all deformed from all of the chemicals. But we had fun there. And at one point, I found a golf ball. And I went, wow, that's kind of cool. Look at this. And, you know, my buddy Kenny would... he said, wow, that's cool. Maybe we could sell it to the golfers. And, you know, so we washed the ball off and got it all nice and pretty and went up to the fence. And there was this one place where, I can't remember which tee it was, but they teed off over a lake. And once they teed off, they had to walk around the lake, and they came within 10 or 15 feet of the fence. So we ran up to the fence and we waited for the next batch of golfers. And when they walked by, we said, hey, you want to buy a golf ball? And it was a nice ball, you know. And the guy walks over and he buys it for $0.25. And I'm like, really? $0.25? Yeah. So my buddy and I, we scoured that little drainage ditch, and we found that we took our shoes off, we could kind of gush our way into the mud and feel for golf balls with our toes, and then reach down and grab the ball and pull it out. I mean, literally, that next week we must have pulled 30 or 40 golf balls out of that one little section of drainage ditch. Of course, our ankles were, you know, we were knee deep in guck, but, you know, hell, we were young, we didn't care. So, yeah, we took them up to the gate or up to the fence, and, you know, we'd wash them off really good and get the really good ones, and we found out which were the really expensive ones, the Titleist golf balls, and the less expensive ones, and we had them on a little tray. You know, we were entrepreneurs from the get-go. And, you know, once in a while, the security guard would come by and you guys can't do that. So, you know, we'd run off and wait for him to take off and come back. And we sold balls all day long. You know, $5 was an easy day for us. And, you know, we were swimming in money. It was like, wow. So we go buy all the sodas we wanted and all the candy bars we wanted. And I can't remember, I think we were saving up for a county fair or something like that. Anyhow, we were working hard. But, you know, at one point, we ran out of golf balls. There was no more because, you know, they've been under the water for who knows how many years, and we dug up all the ones that were available. And I was like, oh man, this is not good because we're running out of money quick. And so my buddy says, well, you know, and we're standing there selling golf balls, and there'd be, you know, the one group of golfers would come by and buy a couple of balls, and then they'd go on. And the next group of golfers, you could see them off in the, you know, on the tee, and they'd tee off, and the bad golfers would knock a ball right into the lake. And then we saw that, and we were like, the lake is where all the balls are. So we were like, oh, well, we can't do it during the day. We're going to have to come out here at night and go in the lake. So we made a plan. About 10, 11 o'clock at night, we sneak out of the house and meet up, go over the golf course, no flashlights, maybe there was a moon or something, we could see something. And we got in that lake and there was hundreds of golf balls. I mean, every place you stepped, there was one or two or three golf balls. And we just like pulling them out left and right, keeping an eye out for the security guard. And as soon as he came, we'd run off and jump through the fence, because there was a hole in the fence, of course, and hide out and wait for him to pass and then go back into the lake. And we must have did that for, that whole summer. And just oodles of golf balls. And we'd come back in the daytime and sell them to the golfers. Well, the golf club didn't really like that because they were selling golf balls too. And they had caught wind that we were out there selling, and they literally camped a security guard at the fence. And it was like, we couldn't go there anymore. But we had all these golf balls. And so we kind of wandered around to another section of the golf course. None of them were as good as that, but there was one place on another part of the golf course where the tee off was about 20 or 30 yards from the fence. And we'd stand there and we'd yell at the guys, hey, you want to buy some golf balls? And they'd come over and buy some balls. And so, we'd go from there, and then the security guard would come over to there, and you can't do that. And then we'd go over to the lake and sell golf balls there for a while until he came over there. It was just the back and forth, a comedy act for sure. And again, we made oodles of money, well, at least for an 8-year-old. Put some money in the bank waiting for the county fair to happen or something like that. And at one point, they literally posted a security guard at the lake and at both positions. And that was pretty much the end of that for a while. Oh no, pretty much for the rest of the time. Well, winter came, and then by that time winter was over, I was maybe 8 at that time, maybe I was 9 or 10, and interests change. I figured out another way to make money, and I can't remember how, but another way, and we were off doing other things. Some 20 years later, probably about 20 years later, I go to Denver, Colorado with my folks for a family reunion. And my dad takes us over to this golf course, and he says, and he points at this irrigation ditch that the water would come on an irregular basis. And he said, we used to go in there and dig for golf balls. And I was like, yeah, it was kind of cool, that whole around the circle thing. But this is the golf ball story. We had a great time. It's a great memory. Thanks for watching.